Today we're going to be discussing the fifth and potentially final release of Atrium. No, it's not going to be the final release, I'm kidding. But it's our fifth release out of our 5 slots, so we're completing the collection for Atrium fragrance. I want to thank you guys for supporting us so far. I'm really, stoked and just happy that we're surviving and, we've gone this far and we're carrying on and hopefully going much further and bigger into the future. If you guys don't know, Atrium fragrance, based on the newsletter we sent recently, we are pivoting to a new kind of style of perfumery, or kind of revisiting our first style. So you guys know Mr Fragrance is quite different in its style from the other 3 fragrances we released. It's from a different perfumer. The first fragrance we made was with John Stephen, the other 3 were with Firmenich. Our 5th fragrance, which is titled Mr Elegance, which is meant for the workplace, for the office, for example, or any place of work in general, it is made with John Stephen. It is going to be a fragrance that, again, similar to Mr Fragrance, is going to be more aimed to a mature crowd. So maturity doesn't mean, oh, you're just old. It means that you have a certain style. You like traditional masculine perfumery, the kind of style that's a little bit neglected by today's modern industry. Today's modern industry focuses on hyper youthful, sweeter bubblegum scents, things like that, etc. So I want to kind of bring back this more traditional, elegant and refined style of perfumery that we're kind of missing nowadays. Mr Elegance. This is a fragrance that's going to be a higher price at around £150 for 100 ml, which is still excellent value in my opinion, and you'll see why. Let me explain. It is an office/workplace fragrance. When you're designing an office or workplace fragrance, when I was designing this with John Stephen, I thought to myself, this is a bit of a tricky category because if you want a great office fragrance, you can play it extremely safe and you can have a fragrance that doesn't have too much character. And that's the problem with some office fragrances. You still want to be inoffensive and you want something that's going to be long lasting, something that lasts, ideally 12 hours because some people work those kind of shifts. Some of us do that. And I was thinking to myself, we need something that is going to be very office friendly, mature, it's going to elevate perfumery, and it's going to achieve our ultimate aim in Atrium of trying something new, something that's going to be created, not done before. So what did I have in mind? In my experience, I always love to go and explore notes in Atrium that are traditionally not used in men's perfumery. So we did that with Mr Majestic using plum. Heck, even Mr Maritime doesn't really use, there's no one that really uses mango. We had chamomile from Mr Romantic. But this time around, another feminine, quote unquote feminine note that men's perfumery doesn't really use that often was rose. I wanted a rose-based masculine fragrance. Obviously, a very obviously masculine scent that adds a lot of character to a workplace scent. And it just does something different in general. I don't want to make another generic rose fragrance, something that exists like Toy Boy or Declaration d'un Soir or L'Homme à la Rose by MFK. I wanted a rose scent all unto its own. I then told John Stephen that, when you see rose, a lot of perfumers like to go and pair it with oud. I insisted it would not be a rose and oud scent. That profile has kind of been overdone now. It's been super oversaturated in the market. It's a beautiful complementary combination, it works, but I told John Stephen we need something different. We need to aim for creativity. That's what Atrium is all about. I wanted to create a truly unique, creative, rose-based men's scent profile that's going to last a really long time, focuses on a lot of naturals. I said to John Stephen, let's increase the budget. This is our most expensive fragrance compound to date so far, and it smells extremely expensive. I kind of have to try and break down the scent profile to you guys in a way that makes sense. It is a complex scent profile. It is a fun fragrance because you always get something new every time you smell it. It is not an easy fragrance, although it is still very pleasant. So it has some challenge, but it's still beautiful overall. Kind of like in reference to Terre d'Hermès. You understand if you smell that fragrance, there's some challenge in there in the opening, but overall, you'll see that Terre d'Hermès is a masterpiece if you appreciate the perfumery. So I'm not saying that this is a clone to Terre d'Hermès. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just kind of using that as an example. There's some challenge here, which is good. I want something a bit different for you guys. The challenge is mainly going to come in the opening, but I think it's a beautiful fragrance. I think you're pretty much going to love it if you love this style. So we have it here, the sample that's almost run out. I've done a lot of testing with it. I have the dry down here on my wrist, which I applied like, 8 hours ago, and it's still going strong. This is a long-lasting fragrance. I'm going to apply the opening here and try to describe it to you guys. And as I'm smelling this opening, guys, you'll be able to see on screen the empty placeholder bottle for Mr Elegance, which Doesn't show the juice on the inside. The juice will be golden color to match the lid and should hopefully be a beautiful presentation for you guys. Let me explain the scent to you. So right up top, Mr. Elegance is extremely natural. It is bright, zingy, and piercing. It has these top notes of bergamot, eucalyptus, and lime. Eucalyptus gives it this very manly, outdoorsy, camphoraceous smell that makes it smell really natural, really refreshing and uplifting. And then the lime adds a unique citrus, gourmand aspect to the fragrance, to an office scent that is still clean, but it's not a strange lime. It's a very beautifully put together lime that really smells distinct. I think it has one of the best openings I've ever smelled in my life. Honestly, I think this is a gorgeous opening in a fragrance. It's the kind of opening you need. It's that zingy freshness from the citruses that really just uplifts you, makes you awake, and that's the perfect way to start your day at work. Then as it dries down, you can already smell the mid-notes anyways from the opening. That's how perfumery works really, but you still start appreciating the mid-notes, which are some of the key players here, some big star players. Of course, the rose. The rose is in here in a note that is exclusive to John Stevens. Similar to how Aaron Terence Hughes has his exclusive bergamot notes, John Stevens has his own exclusive rose note. To me, it smells masculine and it smells appropriate in this scent profile. It definitely has the character in here and it matches all the other scent notes in there as well. It matches other scent profiles of the other notes. One of those big notes, a star note in here as well, which I was really happy and surprised by when we were developing this. So I said to John Stevens, don't put oud in here, but we still had a high budget to work with. He put in orris root in here. If you guys don't know, orris root is another word for iris. Iris is the synthetic note that the vast majority of iris fragrances use. It is a floral, powdery note that is used in fragrances like Prada L'Homme or Dior Homme Intense. Again, the vast majority of fragrances don't have the real thing, because the real thing of iris, the iris flower itself has no scent. In nature, it's the orris roots that has all the scent. It is a very labor-intensive and extremely expensive fragrance note to produce. It takes around 5 years to produce a batch of it. And in the end, after you've dried out the roots, after they've grown for 4 years and they've been picked, you have to dry them out and make an orris butter out of them. It's like a thick butter that you then warm up and use in perfumery. It's a very beautiful, expensive smelling note that has a lot of facets into it. It really is kind of like its own perfume in and of itself. So rose is kind of like a complex perfume in and of itself as a single note, and so is orris. So this is a very interesting scent profile because it has that powdery, waxy, earthy, woody, luxurious, ethereal aspects of the orris. A very expensive smelling note. It's nothing like the synthetic iris. You have to smell it to experience it. And then it also has the rose. So hopefully this is a new scent profile that introduces you to new natural kind of perfumery that has really interesting notes in here so far. The other mid note as well is cassis, which I need to clarify how this smells because it's a very rare note. You don't see much in perfumery, so I'll need to do some more reading about it. There's different species of cassis. I think it's related a little bit to labdanum, so I need to do more reading. But overall, I'm suspecting that cassis gives an ambery aspect to the fragrance. This definitely feels like this fragrance has a hint of sweetness, a decent amount of sweetness actually. I'd say it's kind of comparable to how you get a clean and office-friendly professional scent from something like your Eau Sauvage Parfum, but that is an amber-based barbershop scent. This is not a barbershop scent. Mr. Elegance is a woody chypre, not a barbershop fougere, but it does have that ambery aspect to it that kind of gives a hint of sweetness that adds another layer of character to the scent profile. In the base, we have cedarwood, which is a big prominent character of the fragrance. As I said, this is a woody chypre. It's a very elegant, clean, luxurious cedarwood that smells super expensive. A friend of mine actually thought I was wearing oud when he smelled this fragrance. It kind of does smell very expensive, but it's not oud. And it's not like a dry pencil shaving kind of cedarwood like in Santal 33. It's very nice, very pleasant. If you love woody fragrances, traditional, clean, woody fragrances, you're going to love Mr. Elegance. The woodiness is a big aspect of this fragrance. So the powdery, floral, earthiness, the woodiness here is prominent as well. The clean, natural citruses and camphoraceous greenness in here, and in the hint of it in the opening is all beautifully put together. And you get that hint of sweetness from the ambers in here as well. And then in the dry down as well, in the base, you also have patchouli and oak moss, which I believe you need these to classify a fragrance as a woody chypre. I don't think they're huge characters in this fragrance scent profile, but they do add certain aspects to it to give it another hint of sweetness, earthiness, masculinity in here, some complexity, more natural perfumery in here. There's very natural notes and I think it just rounds out the whole creation overall. Performance, I get 10 to 12 hours with a soft to medium projection. Perfect amount of projection for the office, fantastic longevity. This is still a strong fragrance. I would say, you know, it's a 20% eau de parfum, but 2 sprays, you'll be able to smell it on yourself all day long from my experience. When should you wear this? I think you can wear this all year round, especially as a workplace fragrance or as a daytime signature in general. I think it's just more of just a beautiful daytime signature in general. Something like, you know, Platinum Egoise, you know, a lot of people say it's an office-based fragrance, but a lot of guys wear this as their daytime scent, as their signature in general also. And I think you can do the same thing with Mr Elegance. Mr Elegance, again, I'll emphasize, is for the mature man, the guy who likes the mature style in perfumery. He wants to smell truly different and experience higher levels of perfumery. As I said, the price is higher compared to our previous creations. That's because it's sort of like, imagine if someone gave you a 100 ml real oud fragrance and used to high amounts. And don't forget, guys, also the Oris Routier is the 2nd highest grade in the world. So this is a very expensive natural perfumery in here. Imagine someone gave you a 100 ml real oud fragrance for 150 pounds. You're usually expecting more for like 300 pounds or $350. So I think it's still excellent value for money. It's going to be available as a limited edition batch for now. There's a good chance it will hopefully return much later on in the future in Atrium's lifetime. But for now, we're doing a maximum of 400 bottles to our usual locations. You can pre-order this on the last week of January. So I recommend, guys, you click the link in the description or in the pinned comment to ensure you reserve a place, reserve a notification for you to know when it's available so you do not miss out. I think this is one of the best fragrances we've made so far. I always say this about every release, but I truly think this is extremely expensive smelling, beautiful, and more niche perfumery. It really is going for a more niche audience this time around. So if this sounds like your kind of style, make sure you do order a bottle of Mr Elegance. As always, all of our pre-orders will come with one of our usual spray samples for you to try the fragrance before you open the full bottle, so you can see if it's for you or not. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you have any other questions about Mr Elegance, about our 5th release from Atrium Fragrance, let us know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.